So if you watched my video talking about the Tennessee Titans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, I think one thing that you definitely heard me say was that I think that this Titans team could be pretty well suited to try to go up against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. Maybe not amazingly well suited, but I do think Derrick Henry can be pretty good. And so I think that definitely, without a doubt, the Titans will probably score some points. The problem is that they're going up against Patrick Mahomes, and I think that's really the key figure in all of this situation going on right now. I think this game is going to be the Patrick Mahomes game, so to speak. If he has a bad day, the Chiefs probably won't win the game, in my opinion. But that being said, he rarely has a bad day, and so let's just jump into what happened in that Titans versus Chiefs game. And we'll start things off with this play. It's going to be a cover 3 zone that the Tennessee Titans are going to be in, and for Kansas City, they're going to have just, a receiver run right there, get into a gap in coverage. This is a relatively simple concept. But after the ball is snapped, if you notice, the second that it's Travis Kelce who's running that route, and the second that Kelce gets into that gap in coverage, if you look at the two Titans that are in the area, I don't really love what they're doing here. I mean, neither one of them is really taking away that situation where Kelce could potentially try to make the catch. No one's taking away the window where Mahomes has to throw it. I think especially the Tennessee player who's a little bit higher to the top half of the screen, he has nobody else he has to worry about. There is no other eligible receiver in his area, so he could absolutely turn your head, run to Kelce. Yeah, you don't want to turn your back necessarily, but at least you're in the way where you could potentially knock the ball away. However, he kind of bounces back, which allowed Mahomes to easily hit Kelce, and they did this a couple times. The Titans play a little bit more of a soft zone, and I think against the Chiefs, you really have to play an aggressive zone, and I think they probably will against him. I think they'll make that adjustment, but that's what they're going to have to do. I mean, you cannot play a soft zone against this team. You have to play aggressive. You have to try to make plays. Really, you have to try to steal a possession or two by getting a splash play, I think. I think that's how you beat the Chiefs, is you get Mahomes to throw an interception, or you get a fumble. I think that's kind of what you need. Or you just get like a key third down breakup. I mean, you saw Houston, they got a couple of key third down breakups early on when there was a couple of drop passes. That's how they were able to get up 24-0. Of course, they did a lot wrong after the fact, but that is how they were at least able to get up. I do think that one of the problems of playing zone is that, Andy Reid, he's a great play caller. He can dial up plays like this, where again, it's going to be a cover 3 zone that Tennessee is in. And what they're going to do is have the two receivers closest to the top half of the screen go out to block, and then there's somebody going to send Tyreek Hill to run like that. Mahomes will just hit him. It's a wide receiver screen. He'll try to gain as many yards as possible. And as you see right when the ball is snapped, if you notice the distance that the linebacker is going to have to go to try to catch up with Hill, this is just not a great situation for Tennessee. For one thing, it's a linebacker going up against Hill, and for the other thing, Hill is much closer to the top half of the screen than the linebacker is. So he's already really fast, and now he has someone who isn't the fastest player on the Titans chasing after him. That allows Hill to easily run up to the top half of the screen, and he's even able to make a move and get the first down really simply. And, that's the danger of zone coverage is, in man, for example, then there would just be 3 Tennessee players up on the top half of the screen, and there'd be probably Tennessee's best defensive back who's in charge of, at that point, trying to make a tackle on Hill. But in zone coverage, sometimes you can get those mismatches, and that can give you some extra steps, and especially with a fast guy like Tyreek Hill, that can be a huge advantage. So that is the danger of playing zone. I still do think that zone is probably the right move here, and the reason why I feel that way is because, well, quite frankly, Kansas City has a couple of guys who are great at beating man coverage. Like on this play, it's going to be cover 0. So, as simple as it gets. 5 Tennessee players are covering the 5 Kansas City Chiefs players who could potentially try to make the catch. Everyone else is rushing the passer. And so because of this, pressure is going to get there very quickly. Meanwhile, that is Tyreek Hill's route. A decent route against this type of coverage because it could get open and, there's a cut in the middle. It's something that Patrick Mahomes likes, and it's, the Kansas City Chiefs' best receiver running the route. And so right after the ball is snapped, if you notice, a Titans player does get completely unblocked, which makes sense. You have 6 guys rushing, only 5 guys blocking. Somebody is going to be able to get by pretty quickly. And also, it's not like Hill has a ton of separation at this point. Some separation for sure, but, it's pretty much just dead even, and he's going to run up to the top half of the screen. Mahomes wants a touchdown here, and so what he's going to do is say, you know what? I trust Mahomes. I trust Tyreek Hill. I'm just going to throw it up in the end zone, and I trust that nobody is going to be able to outrun him, and that's exactly what happens. He kind of just threw up a jump ball and said, hey, my guy is faster than your guy. He's going to make that play, and that's exactly what happened. So man coverage is definitely rough. And of course, it's not just Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's a lot of guys that can make these types of plays. Like on this one, it's going to be a cover one blitz. So kind of similar to last time. The only difference is that instead of 6 guys rushing the passer, it's 5, and there is a safety who's deep. And for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, it's going to be Hardman now running that route right there. Pretty good route for Hardman. And you'll see why right when this ball is snapped. Because he starts running, and the defensive back just isn't fast enough to keep up with him, so he is now further behind Hardman on this play. But if you look, Hardman is getting ready to cut back. And since he's going to cut back, this is now going to force the defensive back who's covering him, who is trying as hard as he can to try to keep up with him, to basically just outrun Hardman. So when Hardman does cut back, he's able to make the grab, and then he's able to turn on the jets, and, safety didn't take the best angle. He's able to get all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. And that's another dilemma with playing a coverage like that is basically, if you can just beat your one guy and then also make a safety miss, you can score a touchdown. And with the big play guys that Kansas City has, the big playmakers that they have, it's a very risky thing to do to play a lot of man coverage. You're going to want to play as much zone as possible. Obviously, you can never just run one coverage every time. You have to mix things up because then people will just know what you're doing. But they're going to have to do a lot of this. I think a lot of cover 3 or cover 2 makes a lot of sense to me. I actually kind of like cover 2 in a game like this, but just because I think Kansas City throws the ball deep downfield a lot, you want 2 safeties who are deep. So I would run a lot of cover 2, just my opinion. And watch, this play is another example of what I'm talking about, where it's going to be a cover 2 zone, and for Kansas City, they have a receiver running that route right there. That's what Mahomes likes, and that's what Mahomes is going to want to throw the ball to right when this ball is snapped. If you look, there definitely is some separation right here, Mahomes has already made the throw. Mahomes is throwing this ball in that direction because he wants to see if he can make this work, so that's where he's going to throw the ball. But look at the defensive back, and he kind of trails off a little bit. Mahomes misses this throw. He won't miss that too often. That probably should have been a completion. But if he just stays with him and kind of turns zone into man right there, he could knock the ball away, That's what you have to do, is these zone coverages that you're in are not set in stone. It's a suggestion of where you should be, not where you have to be. That probably should have been a completion. 9 out of 10 times for Kansas City, that is a completion. But if you, in that moment, make sure you keep with the receiver, you can definitely knock that ball away. And that's what I think Tennessee is going to probably do this upcoming game, is they're going to say, okay, we got to make sure we do a better job at that. Listen. You're not going to be able to completely shut down this Kansas City offense. You're just not. It's not going to happen. Patrick Mahomes is too good. Tyreek Hill is too good. Travis Kelce is too good. And those are just some of the guys. Hardman is great. They have Sammy Watkins, who can absolutely be a role player, which is all they need for him to be. This is a loaded offense, no doubt about it. And oh, by the way, one of the best offensive lines in football right now. Their running game's not the best, but, that's fine. They have plenty of tools through the passing game. Keep in mind, if you rewatch that game, Kansas City scored 32 points, and also they had a blocked field goal, and they just screwed up the snap on a field goal. And, so just thinking about it logically from that perspective, they could have ended up with 38 points. And so this was definitely a game that could have gone Kansas City's way. So for Tennessee, you can't just say, hey, let's do what worked last time. No, you have to try to get better, because otherwise you will probably lose, because I'm sure the Chiefs will do things to get better and to game plan to be better off this time around. So yeah, that's just my opinion. I think don't play the soft zone, don't play off guys, don't play man too much. Try to, in an ideal world, try to play as much cover 2 zone as possible and let your guys be aggressive. You might get burned for a deep pass here and there, but you know what? Kansas City is going to do that to you anyways. You got to try to just get your offense on the field as much as you possibly can. At least that's my opinion. I just think that's one of the huge luxuries of having guys like Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, is that they can beat man coverage just so easily. I only showed a little bit of that in this game, but they really did it throughout the entire game. They were doing it, honestly, they've done it throughout the entire season, is they beat man coverage. I just don't know who has the cornerback depth to actually hang with Kansas City's receivers. I think you have to play zone, but of course, if you play zone, they can then just run a lot of simple zone busters to try to beat you, so you have to play aggressive enough that you can sort of make it difficult for those zone busters to beat you. That's just my opinion, but I do think it makes sense. That's just what I would do. I think this game should be an offensive battle. If you are Tennessee, you have to have sort of the short memory type idea. You are going to get beat by the Kansas City offense. It's just going to happen. You just have to be okay with the fact that that's going to happen. and just do your best to not give up those big plays, and also do your best to just get off the field. That's the main thing, is just to get off the field, give them a limited amount of possessions, and make sure you score on a lot of your possessions. I mean, again, not exactly reinventing the wheel here, but it's important to bring up. So, yeah. But hey, I could be wrong. I'd like to know your opinion. What do you guys think about that? Do you think I'm right or wrong? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.